Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to the Splash Live.
Good morning and welcome to the Splash Live. Good to be with you. Hey, the weekend, it's finally here. It's Friday in the greater West Bloomfield area. I'm Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us here as we kick off 90 minutes of live local television right here on Civic Center TV. Of course, the Splash Live kicks it all off. Then Tyler comes in with a megacast, Splash Live, very local, over the next half hour. And then at 10 o'clock, Tyler takes a more global look at our community, things that impact you in West Bloomfield, but maybe around the county, around Metro Detroit, and around the state of Michigan. Very easy to watch all of our programs each and every day here on Civic Center TV. You can just turn on your cable television, channel 15 on Comcast if you're in the greater West Bloomfield area, over on channel 99 on AT&T if you're an AT&T subscriber. Everyone can watch us on civiccentertv.com. Go to our website. You'll see our video in full high definition. Just hit the Watch Live button right there. You can also check us out on social media today. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Look for Civic Center TV there. And we are on the radio every Monday through Friday with a full simulcast on 89.3 Lakes FM, our own local radio station. Been on the air right here since 1974, and I know that to be true because I was there when we put it on the air. So thank you very much for joining us. Very important week, of course, next week. It is election time, and really, the election's already going on. Special election for the West Bloomfield School District, voters only in West Bloomfield. In Keagle Harbor, of course, we have the police millage going on there. Now, good news, both communities' clerk's offices will be open tomorrow, so you can go in and do your absentee balloting there tomorrow in person. Can't do it for anybody else, but you can go in and do it for yourself. So bring your family members, anyone else that might not be available to vote on May 2nd on Election Day or has not already received an absentee ballot. More information is available in West Bloomfield by calling the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office in Keagle Harbor. You can do the same over there. It is a very important election, and as we talked about yesterday in the show, this is not a federal election. This is not a big state election day. This is a day in May when we are voting on things locally, and as a result, not as many people will show up at the polls. So it's really important that that you get out and vote. If you're watching the Splash, I know you're a voter. Get out and vote. It'll mean so much, and your vote, I'm not going to say it counts more than one vote, but it does count a little bit more when so many other people don't vote. Election day Tuesday, exercise your right. You also have a right to get out and enjoy yourself, and the West Bloomfield Parks are doing a great job to make sure you can do just that. Good news, spring is here, everything is open, and the most important equipment at any park isn't the swing set, it isn't the slide, it isn't the backstop, it's the bathroom. Well, you know, the bathrooms are open at all of our parks, all the playgrounds are open, the tennis and pickleball courts are open, soccer fields are open, baseball fields are open. Spring is here. I know it's a little rainy this weekend, but do your very best to get out, enjoy the trails, enjoy the parks, and the people in West Bloomfield at our parks are always doing a great job. If you're a football fan in our area, you may have heard of Samaj Morgan. Samaj Morgan, star wide receiver for the West Bloomfield Lakers, had a great career. Now he's at University of Michigan. He enrolled early, already enrolled there. There you see on TV Samaj wearing his number 12 in his U of M uniform. He is going to be, I'm telling you, this guy's a great player. He's going to be a big hit, not only for us here at home, but for people all over the state of Michigan. And with that incredible program at the University of Michigan, certainly having national impact. And we'll be talking about a couple of our great grads, and there's more, but certainly Samaj Morgan adding himself to that list along with Donovan Edwards and others at the University of Michigan and our former head coach Ron Bellamy, of course. So, but the big thing I want to talk about here today is Samaj has announced a football camp going on right here at West Bloomfield High School. It's going to be June 17th. You can see all the information on the screen, when the times are, the cost. If you want to sign up, go take your phone right now and walk over to your TV and get that QR code, and then it'll take you right to the web page. But it's really also easy to get there. SamajMorgan.com. This is great for young athletes that may be coming up through our programs to learn from one of the most successful athletes in West Bloomfield in recent years what it is to be a high school football player and now a collegiate football player. Your kids are going to get a really great experience. Samaj is a good guy, comes from a very good family, is going to do great at the University of Michigan, and we couldn't be more excited about this football camp, so we wanted to mention it to you today, give you a chance to get involved and sign up while there still is an opportunity. So, a lot going on this weekend. We're getting to some of the things in the show today. One of them is the fact that it is Independent Bookseller Day on Saturday. And for us in West Bloomfield, in the greater West Bloomfield area, it's going to be a really big deal, especially this year. Why? Because one of our state's best booksellers and also an independent bookseller, Schuler Books, is opening a brand new location just off Orchard Lake Road in that shopping center where the Whole Foods is and the other stores right at the end of Northwestern Highway at Orchard Lake Road in the very southern part of West Bloomfield. That store is not quite open yet, but you could see they've got most of the bookshelves are stocked. They're almost ready to open the door. But all the Schuler's locations, and they're also in Grand Rapids, Lansing, and Ann Arbor, are all going to be celebrating Independent Bookstore Day. It's their big day of the year. So even though they're not quite open here in West Bloomfield, they are going to welcome you into their little entrance area there. You can't get in the store yet, but the folks from Schuler's, who are great people, are going to be there. They'll be on site. They'll have giveaways, a sneak peek at the store. I already went by a couple of times, looked in the windows. I think you're really going to enjoy that store. And there'll be other freebies. Really great to have such a great bookseller like Schuler's coming to our community. It's a huge bookstore, as you will see when you go by, and the kind of place that we're going to hang out. A lot of authors will come and speak, and I promise you we'll be out there quite a bit, broadcasting live and getting involved. Congratulations and welcome to West Bloomfield, Schuler Books. Over in Sylvan Lake, it is the Sylvan Lake Swap going on this Sunday. The Sylvan Lake Summer Swap and Sale will be happening. And as you can see on the screen right there, you might have a kayak that you're not using anymore. You might have some other lake goods that you're not using. Some things that, are still in pretty good shape. You want to pass on to somebody else that might be able to use them and maybe put a couple of bucks in your pocket. Well, this is the opportunity for you in Sylvan Lake. It is the Sylvan Lake Summer Swap and Sale. It all begins, as you can see on your screen, at 8 o'clock. Come on by early, get a cup of coffee. There'll be tables that you can set up if you're selling. If you want to come by and buy from somebody else, come on and mosey around. Water safety education going on, some cleanup projects going on, and then we'll be cooking burgers at the end of the day. Should be a lot of fun. You might need to bring your raincoat, but it's going to be fine, okay? It's happening Sunday, this Sunday. Isn't that the way they used to say it in the commercials? Those drag race commercials? That's old school, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. Sunday, April 30th, right here in Sylvan Lake. We hope you get an opportunity to come by and enjoy. And if nothing else, great opportunity to see all of your friends and neighbors together and just get together and mingle. We have a very important and I think will be interesting event coming up at Temple Israel. It is an evening with Barry Weiss, noted New York Times columnist and author. And who's that other guy there? That guy there on the right-hand side of your TV. Well, we know who that is. That is our good friend and local author, national author, international author, Mitch Albom. So Mitch Albom will be there, Barry Weiss will be there, and they're going to be talking about anti-Semitism in a program that I think is very important that you're going to want to be able to hear and we'll all learn from. 7:30 to 9:30, May 3rd, to have these two noted and highly respected authors, columnists, and experts on this issue is going to be something you're really not going to want to miss. So mark your calendar. It's next Wednesday, Temple Israel, 7:30, and I'm sure you'll find that to be a beneficial experience if you make it out. 48th District Court says you have a ticket and you haven't paid it, and and the fines are starting to build up and all the penalties and everything, here's your golden opportunity to get that corrected, pay it, and not have to pay a single extra fee or penalty. They are having an opportunity for you at the 48th District Court from May 1st until the 16th to be able to go in, get caught up on any old tickets that you have, and you will not have to pay the fine. So take note of that. Take an opportunity, and if that applies to you, you can call the court. Their telephone number is 248-686-5150, and best to reach them Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until noon. So looking down the road a little bit, kind of a couple other things coming up I want to mention. The big Keego Harbor garage sale is going to be happening. You might want to start making plans if you don't live in Sylvan and you live in Keego and you got some stuff and you're not going to take it to the Sylvan Swap this weekend. You could take it to the Keego Harbor garage sale. It'll be going on Memorial Weekend 9 to 4, Thursday through Sunday. That, of course, is also the weekend of the big parades in Sylvan and Keego. And there's a Keego parade from maybe last year. It's always a great event. It's going to be a lot of fun. And there's Tyler Keefe on the road talking. Maybe that's our state senator. I'm not sure exactly. Can't see from where I am. But there'll be dignitaries there. There'll be local businesses there. We'll have a lot of fun. So it's the parade and the garage sale Memorial Weekend. Just make sure you put a little note on your calendar. Also, put a note on your calendar for Michigan Week. Michigan Week celebration is coming up on the 12th of May, and the reason I want to mention it to you now is it will sell out. Breakfast happens on that Friday at 7 o'clock this year. We're at Temple Israel. We have a little bit more space for you, but I promise you this event will sell out. The Michigan Week breakfast is an opportunity to celebrate all of those people in the community that volunteer and work so hard. Join us for Michigan Week. If you can't be there in person, you have to watch on TV. If you want to be there in person, and you do, get your tickets. Go to michiganweek.org right now and get those. And finally, before we go to break, West Bloomfield Youth Assistance also has their Youth Recognition Awards coming up in early May, a couple of days before the Michigan Week celebration, May 10th. And that's going to be going on at the middle school. More information available from West Bloomfield Youth Assistance. So, kind of a rundown of things going on here in our community. Last weekend there was an open house, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, and they were showing off their new 4 Communities exhibit. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Gina Gregory will show us around that new exhibit in just a moment here on The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. Dave Scott on this West Bloomfield Friday. Last weekend there was an open house at the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. New exhibit there. It's called the 4 Communities exhibit. And Gina Gregory from the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society was kind enough to walk us around that exhibit. And when I asked her all about it, she said she was so excited about the opening of the new exhibit.
It really is. We're at the fruition point of a gallery that we've planned since 2020. When we redid this room, we had a new vision then, and it's taken till now to get there. We've got a 4 communities map that was created especially for us by West Bloomfield Township, showing you visually our 4 communities, which is pretty unique. We haven't had that till now. And then we highlight Frances Gadd, who has made all the difference for us still being here. Her support was very generous, and it's afforded us the opportunity to still exist as a community resource. And so the room is divided, and we start most easily with Keego Harbor, with the sign from the Keego Theater. We've got an exhibit about that now through the years. Then we go on and have the Keego Harbor Hearts of the Lake with their early history. We have their advertising brochure. It's 14 pages that is for sale. And we talk about the name of their group as well as their downtown. And it's was funded by a memorial fund for John Long. So there's a real community connection to it.
Let's talk a little bit, Gina, about and obviously we're hearing these wonderful chimes we'll find out about in a minute.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some of these individual components. Maybe we can take a step over to the Kegel
sure.
Theater. And for people that haven't lived here for a long time, they don't really know about the history of this amazing theater in our communities.
So it was there for more than 60 years. It was a theater that it was a community theater. So a lot of old timers, I'll call them, went there as kids to see the movies. Then in the 70s, it was hit by a truck. It had a more colorful history towards its ending days. Then it became, I think, a dollar store, a dollar movie theater.
You know, when you think about towns like Kegel Harbor,
Yeah.
they all have a post office, they all have a town hall, and they seemingly all have a movie theater that looks something like that. You know, the small towns, you go all across Michigan to small towns, and you know, here in Metro Detroit, a lot of these small towns have lost their theaters in this big urban area,
Right.
and they're parts of these signs exist, but the theaters aren't there anymore. So it's important that we remember them.
Right, and this one literally got hit by a truck in the 70s with the road widening and that kind of thing. And so we're fortunate that when they tore down the building, we got the sign. It was restored, and it's been here forever.
Was it hard to get the sign in the building here? I mean, you got a huge sign at a little building.
It happened before my time. It's been here always. One of the things we did do is literally during COVID, when we were painting this building and spending hours and hours here, I sat down in these two chairs and had lunch with my husband and said, these are really comfortable. We ought to do something with them. So we came up with the idea of a little theater. Oh, look, that's me. We did a tour during COVID of the tour through our 4 communities. So now you can sit down in our little mini theater of 2 seats and watch the story about our 4 communities, which we have in this.
And it's an obvious question, but these look like they are seats that came right out of the Kegel Theater.
They literally did, and oh look, my husband's name is here, Rob, and I didn't write that. Yeah. You can also enjoy the Hershey clock that was donated to the Township of West Bloomfield by the Claude Whitmer family. It's from their home, then given to the township, and then when they moved to their new facility at Civic Center, it came here.
So this clock, I presume, was a fixture in the old town hall on Orchard Lake Road that is now being, that building is being, it has another use, but...
Right, it's the Town Hall Place Senior Living. And so last year we had this repaired, so now you can hear it tick and tock and chime, which is really fun. And then we hand crank it. If you come on you might be here and be able to wind the clock.
Well,
So
we heard it ring. We heard it chime just a little while ago, and likely we'll hear it again before we're done here. It was really quite amazing.
Yeah, and since there's 3 weights, you take the crank and put it in the 3 different holes, and they're to wind it. And it takes a bit of strength to make that happen.
And here's all the information, of course, for those people that don't have Gina Gregory walking around giving them the tour and telling all the information, everything about the clock and about the family that donated it and the Whitmer family.
Yep. And we had a member who wanted to see the clock repaired, and so he donated to that project, as well as the Trifoli family. And so we're excited that members have stepped up to help us complete our mission more fully.
And what do you think? Is it like 8 feet tall? I mean, people...
I think, and it's also like one of the fanciest grandfather clocks there is. It just happens
Do you
to be
happen,
that.
I mean, I hate to ask you questions that I didn't tell you about that you may or may not know the answer. I can't imagine what it's worth now, but any idea what its cost was back in the day?
I don't, but it's like $5,000 comes to mind. I can tell you, though, that the silk that lines the door is now frayed, and then you can stick your, I've literally been on them.
You're fine.
You stick your hands in there, and here's how they're hung, and here's their hammer.
It's almost like playing a grand piano when you get the top up off the top and you can hit the keys on the grand.
And so we shined it up. We literally took it apart and to move it in here. It used to be in the other room. And as we were getting ready to paint the next day, one of our members said, "Why?" And it was hidden. It was hidden because the ceiling was too short. So literally, so a volunteer's up on the ladder, looks in this room and says, "Why isn't this clock in the other room?" And I say, "I have no clue why." And the answer is it was in the other room because it was so heavy they didn't think to move it, and this room didn't have that ceiling. So in 4 hours, we literally decided to do it, took it apart, moved it, took out 2 other cases that were smaller than this, and had it done so that we could then prep the room and be ready to paint the next day.
While we move over to the next display, Gina, this work is, I assume, done in large part by volunteers when there are projects like this.
It is. I was a painter up high. I was up there at 11 o'clock one night, and my husband installed the slat wall. Some of it was pre-existing, but when we decided to do this room, I literally said, "Do we have enough to do this wall and right there?" And we did, so we put it together in one day.
So we've had the Kigo area. The clock is part of the West Bloomfield collection.
Right.
Let's talk about what's here.
So each space is very little, so we've condensed our words and all of our history into a small amount of space, but yet done so that it's concise and you can at least get the flavor of everything. Each topic could have so much more said about it, and we hope that our website will be more robust and that people will be able to use it as well as our archives to learn more, because there's just so much going on. So this started out of me wanting to chronicle our citizen initiatives, and the list got to be so long. And I started to make a list of all the citizen groups, and that list got to be so long that I couldn't even put them all on there. So it's been reduced and reduced, keeping the flavor of some of the things that I thought were important and that were part of my history. My son was part of a group of teens that petitioned West Bloomfield Parks for the skate park. And so when we started thinking about it, I thought there's some history worth telling. We were also of the generation where a student came to the township hall and said, "We need an ice cream truck." So Ice Cream for Ice Cream book was written after the township gave permission for ice cream trucks to be used. I live in Pleasant Lake Highlands, you might know, and I've been passionate about that, just looking outside of my community, and we ended up writing, this is our 3rd edition for our 100th anniversary. It's turned into a wealth of information done during COVID with awesome photographs by neighbors and all around our lake. So I'm pretty much into, I've been able to use the history locally that I've learned about my neighborhood, as well as what I've learned here, well, through neighbors and through the Historical Society. So part of that I was able to include here, along with the West Acres book, which is a wealth of information that they did for their 75th. This book is 3 times as long as mine. It's such an active community that their history is just amazing. They just chronicle so much of all of their activities through the years. It's a treasure, and we have a couple of them here to sell now, which I'm excited to have available.
So you have these looks here through these books of some of the communities within our community, and then here is, well, there's our old town hall.
There it is.
That was a town hall when I was a little kid growing up, and I love that photograph with the old police cars and amazing from
Because they
1973.
were all in the same building.
Sure.
Yeah, and there they are lined up in front of it. One thing that I enjoy is our descriptive road maps for Pleasant Lake Highlands. It's just so indicative of the times, of what a resource it was. Close to Detroit Resort, why go further? Beautiful summer home sites in the West Bloomfield Hills, realization of your Elysian dreams, because all roads lead to Pleasant Lake Highlands from Detroit, Michigan's beauty spot. And you can see by their map, with Detroit, you could take Woodward to Birmingham to Pleasant Lake, or Grand River, just like the trolley did, to Orchard Lake Drive. At the old stone garage, you might turn to get to Pleasant Lake, and in their perspective, Orchard Lake's the same size as Pleasant Lake. You couldn't tell the difference.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. I mean, you talk to
right.
Paul Wilbur, who did his presentation,
Yep.
and you know, that's on CivicCenterTV.com right now.
Right.
A very Pine Lake perspective of,
Yep.
of that era as well.
Yep. So when we go around the corner, we've got Orchard Lake Village, home of Apple Island, with real estate maps, and Orchard Lake Polka, Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary, words here about the sanctuary as well, and then the historic places in Orchard Lake with the country club, the church, and the schools. One of the things that we're excited to have available is an Orchard Lake tile that's accurate as a depth map. It's got Apple Island on it, and we have them here to sell. It's well done, well done. And the history of the city with their sailing, and all the sailing was huge on Orchard Lake. 2026 will mark the 100th anniversary of Orchard Lake Country Club, that started with its sailing program first before they even built a golf course 27 years later.
Gina, I know this is of a different era, but I can tell you that my family, we sailed on Orchard Lake. We had a boat. We launched it at the boat launch, and that was one of our great activities in the 70s when we were kids.
And the DNR public boat launch is still there.
It is.
People can use that.
And we only have a couple of more moments, but 4 communities. Here's Sylvan Lake.
Yep, with their town hall that's so charming, and their Ferndale Beach. At the bottom, we've got the bridge going over Pontiac Drive in the 40s, but it's still in use today. Sylvan Lake Inn was first. Before it was a city, it was an inn. It burned to the ground in 1903, and people got here by the interurban. So that's included here. And then Whitfield School was a vital part of that community from 1852 on through 1927. It was new, and I think it lasted into the 60s or so. Then as we were preparing this, our archivist noticed in our storage facility that we have Whitfield School sign, as well as the one for Harold Bicking, who was an integral part of their community, and he was the first village clerk and the treasurer, and with a salary of $100 a year, and was a member of the school board as well.
All right, thank you very much, Gina, for that amazing tour. Get over, if you've not been there, to the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. There's a whole lot more there just than the 4 communities exhibit, and I know you will enjoy it. Hey, we're out of time. We got to go. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much for being a part of the Splash Live here on Civic Center TV. We'll see you bright and early Monday right here. Have a good weekend.